Oh, it's such a pleasure to be with y'all today. Hi, Dotsie.
Hi.
So we have another question from a listener I wanted to share. I thought it was thought-provoking. So shall I play it? And then you and I can discuss it before our wonderful guest today.
I love it.
Hi, guys. It's Deborah from Colorado. I just wanted to leave you a personal message to let you know how inspiring your work and your passion is to me. Dotsie, I remember your amazing accomplishment in the 2012 Olympics, and it was the first time I'd ever heard of the term plant-based diet. At that time, I had no idea an athlete could actually eat that way. I became vegan in 2017 due to an autoimmune disease, and I was really inspired by the advertising campaign you launched during the 2018 Winter Olympics. Since found your podcast, and I love the chemistry and passion you and Alexandra share together. I especially loved your recent podcast with Brian Cateman. You'll probably get pushback from our vegan community, but as we've learned from politics, judging and shaming just doesn't work, and those who ultimately pay the price are the animals. As with any great cause, you must sometimes feel like you're on a treadmill, but Dotsie, you reached me in 2012. Sometimes it takes a while for an idea to take off, but trust that the wheels of change are spinning in the background. There's a good quote, the true meaning of life is to plant trees under whose shade you do not expect to sit. Thanks again to both of you for all the great work you're doing.
Wow, Dotsie, you should feel so proud. And it's proof that one person can make such a difference. And
even if it's just one person, I was walking with my husband today and I told him I perennially feel and have forever like I'm reaching no one, but I don't want to do anything else. Like I can't imagine not fighting and doing this podcast with you and doing all the other work that I do and that you do aside from this podcast. Like I just couldn't imagine my life in any other form. But I mostly just think no one has ever changed because of anything I've ever said or done or tried to be. So when I first heard that message, I just started crying because I was like, oh, there's one. So I really appreciate her leaving that message.
thank you, Deborah.
Yeah.
I've always believed in the power of one. And even if it is just one person, Deborah will pass it on. You know, there was that shampoo commercial. This was you're probably too young, Dotsie, because you're 10 years younger than I am. And it was Herbalescence, I think, or something.
Right.
And it was, they'll tell two people and they'll tell two people. And then
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so that's how I believe social change happens, one person at a time. And policy is also very important. It's great that she mentioned politics. I also want to mention what she said, that quote at the end is so beautiful about how we need to plant trees, even if we will never sit under their shade.
Yeah.
And I really think we have to remember that we're doing this because it's the right thing to do. And if you keep looking at outcomes and not the journey, then you're going to burn out really quickly. Because I mean, I've been an activist for a long time now and for so many different issues. And there's none that I've been able to sit under the shade of, except for electric cars. I have to say that I did see the benefits of our activism there. But otherwise, peace and voting and animal rights, anti-nuclear work that I've done, and environmental population. I mean, I'm still working at those. And a lot of times we backslide, but we have to just keep doing it because it's the right thing and not think about, our grade, how we're doing. We just have to keep doing it.
Right. Not be so hard on ourselves. I have to be honest. I didn't really know exactly what she meant by that quote until you sent me your email and it gave it more clarity. I repeated it a lot to myself in my head and I was like, I don't get it. It's the blonde in me or something, but it really is so true, especially in this movement, because I do think that some of the systems will start to break and falter. They already are, but I think we'll probably be dead when there's no animal eating.
Right.
Right. We're in that fight stage right now. We've got some years before we win. So I think I understand the quote better now.
It was interesting what she said also about Brian Cateman. He's the one for folks who spoke about encouraging people to reduce their meat intake. And I have to admit that at first, when we first decided to have him on, I was going to ask him like, well, how does that, I was just going to I was a little more judgmental. And then
Yeah.
after talking to him, it opened my mind about how there's different ways to do it and different ways to be an activist. And I know there's a lot of non-vegans here, but the vegans who are out there often think that you have to be an animal rights activist, you have to be a vegan. And my friend Lewis said to me last week, he said, I consider being plant-based or vegan just a tactic to help animals. You don't have to, just like if you're a climate activist, you still fly or you still drive and you still use dirty electricity. I mean, we're all on this journey. I was like, I opened my eyes like crazy because I did not think that was not my general feeling. I felt like first step, change your diet. Second step, change your clothes,
and then you've earned the right to fight or something along those lines.
But now I don't think that anymore. Thanks to Lewis and Brian and Deborah.
Yeah. And Deborah, and I was having a conversation with somebody brand new that I was just meeting the other day on Zoom. And he's a new activist, a new vegan by just a couple of years. And he said, and I've never heard anyone, an animal rights activist say this. He said, I don't want them harmed. It shouldn't be this way. I don't want to go spend time with animals. I don't really connect with animals. Like I probably won't ever go to a sanctuary. I don't get it. But it's the right. It's like, wow, that's really, I've never heard anyone say that. That's an animal rights act, right? Like they're totally bleeding to like snuggle with a sheep, and they have snuggled with many sheep, and and I thought, oh my gosh, wow, that's pretty extraordinary, right? Like he's like fighting for a group that he just says he doesn't even want to be around. But it's the right thing. It's just pretty great, right?
Thing to do. Good for him. Krista Rose, who started Last Chance for Animals, also says the same thing. He says, I respect animals and I believe they should be treated well, but he's never had pets, but he just respects them. He says, I don't know if I love them, but it's the right thing to do. I think we just come back to that.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's powerful.